This video is entitled How to Drink a Beer. First, go to the store. Go down the beer aisle, get a 6-pack of your favorite beer, bottles. After buying 6-pack of bottles, come home, get 6-pack, pop the top, drink, enjoy. That's it. That's all. It's done. Get off my lawn. Out of here.
Mic drop.
Like I'd really leave you guys like that. Hey guys, it's Andy. I want to welcome you back to my dive bar. And, you may have noticed that my facial hair might be a little bit longer than you're used to. Like I'm growing a raccoon from my face long. Yeah, I'd been under the weather for a couple days, so I thought I'd mess with you guys and make a silly video. Obviously, you guys know how to drink a beer. Otherwise, you wouldn't be watching this channel. Also, there's nothing wrong with cans, but I want to talk about my famous Molson opener here a little bit later. One other thing we can do that would help enhance the beer drinking experience is the use of the chilled pint glass. Frosty. Yeah, this is what you want for the perfect beer. Usually the first beer whenever you go to a bar. Typically when you go to a bar, they'll give you at least one of these, and then they'll kind of refill them, the same glass, unless you're really lucky, which I like to be every now and again. Otherwise, you kind of get a warm beer. Now guys, I'm going to talk to you about something that's been embedded in my brain ever since I was in high school. When you pour a beer from a can or a bottle, you're supposed to tilt the glass so that the beer comes out all nice and fluid and there's not a lot of foam. And if you look, there isn't, but maybe like a couple of centimeters, not even that. It looks like it's all beer, right? And that, to anybody else, would be a champion pour right there. It's all beer, you're not sucking down foam, and it's what you want. It's a clean beer pour. The only problem with the perfect pour is that beneath this golden layer of goodness is a whole bunch of CO2. And if you've ever noticed when you're drinking a beer or two, suddenly you feel really bloated in your stomach and you're like, wah, you want to have another beer. And most of you probably will anyway. But my point is, you don't like that bloated feeling. You'd rather not have it if you can. Well, what I'm about to show you is probably going to be sacrilege to the way most of us were brought up, but here it is. Okay, so it looks like your 3-year-old nephew poured that last beer, right? Just kind of dumped it in there. Well, believe it or not, that's actually a positive thing. Because when they're dumping it in like that, even though it's the ugliest thing ever, it's getting rid of a whole bunch of that extra CO2 that you don't want. Well, if you're at a restaurant or a bar, the bartenders want to sell you more beer. So the glob method allows for that excess CO2 to be expelled so that you'll drink your beer and then order that next one. And maybe you'll order another one after that. And that puts money in their pocket, makes their tips bigger. And even though the pour is ugly at the bar, it's still making them tips and they don't care. So on with more beer stuff. And we're back. You guys might remember me talking about bottles in the last spoof video before this. Cans, bottles, whatever, they're all good, but it kind of gave me a chance to bring out this old rusty Molson bottle opener I got from the plant in Toronto. My girlfriend and I took our first vacation together back in 1991. We jumped in her brand new Escort and drove it on up to the interstate. So then we crossed the border into the Great White North. Canada, home of Rush, Bob and Doug McKenzie, and maple syrup. And so, Amy and I ventured out onto the road up into Ontario, Canada. While there, we got to check out the falls. We got to see both the American and Canadian side. And while we were there, we got to eat in this really cool restaurant up top the Skylon Tower. If you're not familiar, it looks like the Needle over there in Seattle. So it was really cool. The whole restaurant rotates on the top, so you get to see the falls, especially during the summertime. You can see the Maids in the Mist go back and forth, and just checking out the skyline. Really fun, really good time. Pardon me while I have a beer. So we went up through Toronto, and we went over to where the Blue Jays play, the Sky Dome. And in there, they had a circus going on in the middle, because, you know, it was the middle of, gosh, what would that have been? April, something like that. And, you know, no baseball games to speak of, but they did have a Hard Rock Cafe in there. And it was in that cafe I had my first legal beer. I was 19 at the time. And it was funny because I ordered an imported beer. And I was expecting, you know, I'm still thinking in American terms at the time. I didn't even look at the list. And they brought me out a Budweiser. So I had to pay extra for the imported beer just so I could drink it there. But I had to laugh at myself because I was like, yeah, you're on the other side of the border, idiot. So it was a good time. I also got to play, well, pretend to play with U2's Edge's signed guitar that they took off the wall just for me because they were really nice. And here's the picture of me holding that guitar. Look how young I look back then. It's crazy, right? So from there, we went to a place called Ocean Land, and we picked about the coldest, rainiest day. Remember, we're up in Canada and it's April, so it might as well be, you know, November, December here. And it's like misty, rainy. It's kind of coming down on you. And Amy and I are sitting there in the front rows, and they've got 3 killer whales, 2 of which are kind of smallish. One, my God, it's about as big as a submarine. They caught it out in the wild, and the thing would not behave. It was not happy to be in that little confined space. And after the show, you kind of walk down the aisles, then you walk out of the little arena that we were watching in. And when you walk by, there's this acrylic glass that holds all the water in. And I walked by, and I happened to put my hand up on the acrylic glass. And this massive, we're talking probably, I kid you not, like 30-foot long killer whale rears back and lunges at my hand. It just goes, doosh! Water flies over. And Amy and I have outlost our bodily capacity. Let's put it that way. It scared the crap out of us. Seriously, I'm lucky to be alive, I'm pretty sure. But, you know, we got to see that, and it was just a great time. So, you know, every time I look at this, it just reminds me of a time when, you know, I didn't really have responsibility. I was just on break from OSU. And, you know, it's good times that, you know, no responsibility of mortgages or houses or anything like that were on us. So I just want to share that with you guys. You know, a bottle opener can unlock life. Here's to you. So then we crossed the border into the Great White North. Only 1% of you will get that reference.